Have you ever wondered how one moment can completely transform a person's life? Try to imagine a situation in which the fear, the vulnerability, and the dangers are found in a single moment. Everything can change with a single action. Have you ever gone through something like that, even if in a different way? Maybe it's a risk that, by chance or coincidence, it was in an unexpected way. Stay with me until the very end, because that's all you're going to find out now. You will be surprised, and to renew their faith in the courage that exists, people often underestimate it. The dog. Today, we are going to dive into a real story of a young girl who has experienced an episode that could have ended in such a tragic way, but it was a decision by the amazing thanks to the presence of an unlikely hero. One evening, in the routine of a normal person, it has become a time of stress and risk. She would come home, tired, distracted, when he was met by a threat that appeared to come from nowhere. A man, with the intention of dangerous, cornered in a dark alley, making it clear that there was no way out. The fear took over, the feeling of powerlessness is increased, and at that moment, it all seemed to be lost. You can't imagine the feeling of being surrounded with no escape, with a racing heart, and a hope, nearly slipping away. But just when everything seemed to be dark, too, something of the unexpected happened. A dog which until then he was walking alone in the streets, apparently a common one, saw the scene and decided to take action. It may seem like a story in a cliché movie, but it's not real. A furry hero came on the scene, snarling, alert, and ready to protect them. The one who came up with the following that is a testament to the courage to defy expectations. What is it that makes this story even more special is that many of these animals, acting on instinct, a connection that goes beyond what we can comprehend it easily, they seem to understand the danger, feel the pain, and in some way, you know exactly when to act. Stay with me, because in the next chapter of this story are revealed to be an act of bravery that will thrill you and make you reflect on the true meaning of courage, loyalty, and the instinct of self-protection. Have you ever thought about the power that the animal may have to be faced with a risky situation? Prepare yourself, because what's coming next is going to surprise you, and I'm pretty sure it's going to cause you to look out for the dogs in a different way. After all, the heroes of might pop up out of hiding, and at the most unexpected moments. If you can identify with this story, or have felt those butterflies in my stomach when I think of the scene, and leave it here in the comments on what you played, or what has been your favorite part so far. Your feedback is very important to us because it will help you to create a true connection between the account and to the listener. So this is the space to stay even more special. In addition to this, if you like stories that are showed in the side of heroic animals, don't forget to like the video. Your support will make a world of difference to them, encouraging us to bring you more content as well, with even more dedication. And of course, if you want to continue with this amazing stories, subscribe to the channel, so you don't miss out on any news and stay up to date with what we are ready for you. Your being here is what makes our channel grow, and to reach more people and spread a message of courage, empathy, and hope. Every comment, every like, every entry is a very important part for us to continue bringing you stories that inspire and emotionally. So stay with me, because the best is yet to come, and I want you to be a part of this journey of discovery and surprises at every turn. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that is exactly the essence of this transformation, which is often found in the largest available. The truth is hidden that only a few have the guts to stand up to it, that on the back of every decision we make, there is a chain of thoughts, emotions, and beliefs that we often don't even notice it. These parts are unseen, that shape our actions in the way they are silent. They are like behind the scenes of the show that you often go unnoticed, but one that will determine the real impact we can make in our lives and in those around us. When we begin to understand the functioning of the internal, everything changes. The fear that seemed to be a giant, who fought for our actions, and often it is only a shadow that is created by an account that you have learned throughout your life. The most fascinating part of it is that once we find out in this narrative, we can reescribe it. It is not a matter of magic or luck, but to understand what's in our mind, as well as the script of the movie can be edited. And in doing so, we open up a door to a journey of self-transformation, true, and where the decisions will no longer be automatic and will reflect who you really are at the bottom. This is a change of mindset, as it is a silent revolution that takes place on the inside, but the echo in the outside world in an extraordinary way. When we begin to question our own beliefs, or both, we've noticed that a lot of these are just the stories that you have learned it without realizing it. The stories we were told that we weren't able to, and that's the success it was a bit far away, or that your happiness is dependent on external factors. But when you immerse yourself in a universe of self-awareness, we can begin to understand that true transformation comes from within, out of the realization that we are the authors of our own story. And during this time, many of you find the courage to face those behind the scenes to internal, is what separates those who stay in the comfort zone, and who's really navigate your way to what you want. After all, there's nothing more liberating than to understand that our choices, no matter how difficult they may seem, are not not under our control. This realization raises a profound effect on our self-esteem, our ability to deal with the ups and downs of life, and above all, in the hope that it is possible to create a different, more in line with our most secret dreams. However, this is a journey of discovery. It is not linear. It involves the moments of doubt, of resistance, of the questions, and also have small wins every day. Each and every step that we take to understand it and reprogram our minds, it's a revelation that we have the strength to shape our own destiny. And at the same time, it's an opportunity to realize that this power is not outside of us but inside, hidden away in the potential that you might not think that we have. And it is precisely for this reason that the transformation process is so powerful. Because of the unfold of the inner layers, we can begin to see more clearly the impact of the choices we make. We realize that each and every decision, no matter how small, is an opportunity to reaffirm our commitment to the change, growth, and authenticity. This awareness gives us a new way of looking at the world, more compassionate, more connected to the truth. In the midst of their journey, many a times we are faced with a revelation that will challenge our certainties. It makes us question everything we thought was set in stone. And so, we've found a renewed strength to go on, knowing that every obstacle is an opportunity to learn, and that each and every fear will be a clue as to our progress. The genuine transformation, then, is not just about achieving a specific goal, but is about to become someone who does not live in a way that is more conscious, more in line with their values, and is more open to the endless possibilities that the world has to offer. And so, as we explore each and every layer of this truth that is hidden, we realize that the journey is, in essence, a quest for authenticity, in a quest to connect with the things that really matter, leaving behind the shackles of the past and embrace a new way of thinking, feeling, and acting. This is a change of mindset is the one that gives us the courage to move forward even when the path seems unclear, because deep down, we know that the impact happens when we choose to be really true to ourselves, is to build a life that truly reflects our essence is genuine. And when you think about all of this, there is a sense in which we are only just beginning to understand how much you are able to transform not only our story, but also the impact that it can have on the world. Each step in this direction, it is a very important part in the construction of a reality that is more self-aware, more empathetic, and more accurate. So here's a thought. How much would you be willing to explore those behind the scenes to the internal, and to allow yourself to discover the power that lies within you? He comments that it makes no sense to me. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line because that is the journey of the transformation. It often shows a layer that is not thought that they were hidden beneath the surface of our everyday lives. When we begin to explore these behind the scenes to internal realize that this is not just a matter of changing behavior and or adopt new technologies, but to understand the truth of who we are in addition to the masks that we wear, to the understanding of the world. It is about having the courage, yes, but it will also be opened up to face the truths, which very often, we would prefer to avoid. These are the moments of revelation, that is, at the same time her releases as we put it in front of the potential, which, till then, seemed to be far away or out of reach. In the background, a lot of people live trapped in the illusion that change is on the outside, the external action, or in a technical miracle that promise you fast results. But the truth is hidden, the one that only a few have the courage to face it. It's that it all begins from the inside to the outside. The impact of a true decision, a choice that is aligned with our deepest values, the echo in our lives in ways that we don't always get the measurement right away. It's like a chain of effects that connect with our emotions in a more honest, our beliefs, the more deep-seated, and therefore, requires specific attention to what is really happening in our minds and in our hearts. When you immerse yourself in these behind the scenes to internal, many are discovering that the transformation is not a one-off event, but a continuous journey of self-awareness, adjustment, and learning. And in this process, the more challenging it will be, it's a sort of alchemy, an emotional and that seemed to be heavy or difficult to be overcome begins to make sense. It's a kind of awakening to the truth is hidden, that which is within each and every one of us, one that is often drowned out by fears, insecurities, or even a routine for us to take you into a comfort zone is comfortable, but it's stuck. And here comes a crucial point, namely the mindset. When you start to open up those behind the scenes, we realize that it is our limiting beliefs, the more deeply rooted, is not a final judgment. These are the stories that we tell ourselves, and that, with a little bit of courage, you can write back. And in this rewrite is one of the major revolutions of the internal, and anyone can try it. Suddenly, we realize that the limit is not an absolute truth, but it's a condition that you can change, adjust, or even abandon it altogether. This finding by itself, since it's a real release, this new perspective allows us to see beyond the obvious, beyond the apparent limitations, and gives you the power to make choices that are more aware of it. Every decision, every step, it will be an opportunity to say who we are and who we want to become. This awareness, when it is aligned with practical action, creates a chain of impact that spans the whole of our lives, impacting affecting our relationships, our careers, our emotional health. And it is precisely at this point that we begin to understand that true transformation is a matter of the mind, of perception, in connection with what is most authentic in all of us. This is why this is a journey of discovery and behind the scenes. Internal is as powerful as it is, and at the same time challenging, because when you look at the inside, we've found that the biggest secret, many times, it is in the silence of my soul, because of the truths that we would prefer to conceal, those emotions that we feel. But when you deal with them, we gain a freedom that none of the conquest, the material, is able to provide. The freedom to be who we really are, without the mask, without the mask, without the mask. It's free and easy need. And in doing so, we can begin to shape a reality that is aligned with our deepest desires, our dreams, the most important. Now, I want you to go even deeper on this topic, because they understand that it all begins from the inside to the outside. It's the first step, but it's the most important thing is that this knowledge will translate into concrete actions. How to make the awareness of the changes nitty-gritty day after day. They will consolidate to a new version of ourselves. It is at this point that the real journey to gain the body passes through the layers of resistance, and it becomes an experience of self-transformation, which will not be reversed. And at the same time, this is a unique opportunity to discover behind-the-scenes secret of his own power, the one who's always been there, just waiting for a chance to reveal itself. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that is the true magic of the transformation. Not only in understanding it, we can change it, but to learn how to make these changes happen in a real way, day to day. It is as if behind every decision, every thought, there would be a secret door to a world of possibilities. Too often, they remain hidden in our own routine for your mental health. And it is precisely at this point that the journey of self-transformation turns out to be a journey of discovery, where the enemy is often ourselves, our fears, doubts, and the old beliefs that you insist on resisting change. When we first started to look into honest with ourselves, we realized that a lot of this resistance comes from a place of comfort in disguise. It's easy to stay in the safe zone, even though it is safe to do so in the prison of the invisible, the face of the unknown that comes with the evolution. And a lot of the time, this resistance manifests itself in the form of automatic thoughts, which are to be repeated as a mantra to quiet. Is not possible. I can't. It's never going to happen to me. These thoughts, although they look harmless, they act as a block invisible, which act as a brake on the flow of change, making it more difficult to connect with the potential for more in depth which lies within each of us. However, it is important to understand that the potential is not something that is far away or unattainable. It is there, pulsing, waiting for the right time to be awake. The wake-up happens as we begin to ask these built-in limitations, and to challenge our own points and create a new narrative about who we are and what we are capable of. In this process, the transformation is no longer an abstract concept and makes it an experience of the real, tangible, which is built from small actions every day, the more informed choices, and have a growth mindset, which is solidified at each step. When you look at the behind the scenes of our full potential, we've noticed that a lot of the limitations that were created by a narrative that we've learned in the course of a lifetime, often without realizing it. The stories told by the people around us, negative experiences, they internalize it as absolute truth, and even from the fear of failure. That is, in fact, it is a powerful tool of learning. When faced with courage, it's as if we're loading a script as old. It will need to be rewritten, with new words, to be more aligned with our essence, is closer to the truth. And in this rewrite, requires courage, because it means confronting what we believe to be our reality, and to make room for a new version of ourselves. To turn this awareness into concrete action is an exercise of the autocompasio, and of course, it's not a radical change from one minute to the next, but in a continual motion, which comes from a genuine desire to improve. With each step, and each made a conscious decision to do things differently, to think differently, to allow you to feel and experience the new possibilities. It is a very important part in this journey of self-discovery, and along the way, behind the scenes of their potential, they will be more and more clear as the truth hidden that it finally comes to the surface, lighting up the way that you built it stone by stone. In this process, the change of the mindset that plays a central role. This is how to adjust the focus of your camera to capture the details of it before it went unnoticed. When we are able to see beyond the limitations that we had, we realize that the impact of our actions is far greater than we might have previously thought. And more than that, we can begin to understand that true transformation requires a deep connection to our values, the most authentic part of us that has never ceased to exist, but it was hidden beneath layers of fear and insecurity. This is a journey of self-transformation, also shows behind-the-scenes secret of our being, the thing that a lot of times we don't want to admit it out of fear or shame, but to be faced up to, become inexhaustible sources of strength and inspiration. When we are going to explore these issues in depth, we find that the impact of the change is not only on the results of the exterior, but an internal renewal, reconstruction of the way we think, feel, and act. It is in this space of discovery we find the essence of our potential, and that's always been there, just waiting for an opportunity to give a full and true. And so, as we are clearing out these behind the scenes to internal, filled with revelations about who we really are, we can begin to understand the power of the transformation is a lot more accessible than we might have previously thought. It's not a mysterious force or something that only a few privileged individuals have, but with a power that is all carry on inside of us. It is often dormant, but ready to go to war. And this awakening is a matter of decision-making, courage in the face of all of the things that limit us, to look within, and to recognize our own strengths, hidden, and begin to build a new narrative, one that is more in line with what you actually want to be in, to connect with the truth that is hidden, with the potential to sleep. It's the one that gives meaning to our journey of evolution. When we learn to recognize our own set of tools for change, we understand that obstacles are no longer binding, and are transformed into opportunities for growth. Every challenge makes you a lesson, and each question is a chance to deepen our understanding of who we are, and how far we can get. And in this way, the impact of the conquest, as small as it may seem, the echo in our souls, strengthening to know that we are on the right track. This is a journey of self-discovery that never ends, because at each step, we have discovered a new layer of ourselves, and new reasons to move forward with new truths that need to be revealed. And at the same time, the journey connects us with the essence of the purest of our transformation, one that happens behind the scenes of our own, and where the potential for more true to live, just waiting for an opportunity to express their views. And it is in this space of endless possibilities, our story of change, it really comes to life, and is marked by the conscious decisions, and a growth mindset which drives us to go above and beyond what we imagine to be possible. He comments that it makes no sense to me. I now want to go more in depth on this topic, because this is a journey of transformation doesn't happen by accident. It is the result of a series of decisions that often go unnoticed in the day-to-day. It's like we're constantly being asked to choose between the comfort of a well-known and the courage to explore the unknown. And believe me, this decision has a huge impact on our evolution and our ability to truly transform our reality. When we begin to understand that change starts within each of us, that our every thought, every action, every little decision-making to mold our future to a world of possibilities opens up in front of our eyes. It is as if it were a revelation which reveals the true, hidden. We are the architects of their own future, and with that responsibility, though frightening, it's also liberating. Many don't even realize how much our way of thinking and have an effect on our journey of growth. For example, a simple change of perspective can transform obstacles into opportunities and difficulties in learning. It is at this point that comes to the importance of having a growth mindset, one that is not limited to the skills or the talent, but one that appreciates the effort and persistence and the ability to learn from mistakes. This is a change of mentality. It works like a fuel that drives all of our development, because it allows us to see beyond the apparent limitations and to realize that each challenge is an opportunity to evolve and to reinvent itself. And in the process, and the impact that we make on the world around us is also increasing, because it is a person who believes in your ability to change, just that positively influence the people around them, creating a chain of processing that it becomes self-perpetuating. When you examine the scenes of this journey, we realize that a lot of times, the major revelations that take place in a quiet moment of reflection, when we were able to stop for a moment and listen to our own inner voice, it is in these moments that the truth is hidden, is revealed more clearly, by showing us the things that really needs to be changed, and what we are avoiding because of fear or comfort. And once you understand this fact, for a decision as to whether it becomes inevitable to move on, to embrace the change, the courage to accept, and which to the growth of many of the times demands to get out of your comfort zone, you experience aches and pains, and worries that seem insurmountable. It is then that we realize that it's the true transformation is not just a matter of techniques and strategies, but it's a matter of mindset, of courage, of willingness to reinvent ourselves each and every day. On the other hand, the journey is not linear. It's a roller coaster ride of emotions, full of many ups and downs, moments of doubt, and in the interests of clarity. And it is precisely in these moments of doubt that we also have to remember that the power is in our choice to continue, to persevere, to believe in the possibility of change. With every step, however small it may seem, it is made in a way that brings us closer and closer to what you really want. And this is done through the choices, daily small actions that, when added together, you have the power to completely transform me. So, as we reflect on all of this, it is clear that the true transformation requires a mindset of the impact of a more wide-ranging view of the potential and courage to go above and beyond what we thought possible. For this reason, it is important to understand that every decision that we make today are shaping our tomorrow. And a lot of the time, which prevents the transformation is just in our own strength, for fear of facing the unknown, and the attachment to the limiting beliefs that we carry from childhood or past experiences that shaped our view of the world. But at the same time, this resistance, it also points to an opportunity to grow, to explore new possibilities and discover what we are able to achieve. When we were able to open up the space for vulnerability, for learning and for change, we will give you a giant step forward toward our true nature. With each revelation, each made a conscious decision, in the close of a stronger, more resilient and more in line with the things that really matter in our daily life. And in the process of getting to know yourself, you begin to realize that not everything needs to be perfect, and that the failures are all part of the journey, and many times the greatest life lessons come from just in our own downfalls. This is the honesty with ourselves and others that we find the strength to start over again, to set the path, and above all, to keep you in the hope that change is possible, and that it is real, and that each step is taken with the intent and courage, and it is a proof that we are on the right track. There isn't a magic bullet, nor is it a script you've set, but there's one universal truth. If you decide to change our mindset, everything around you starts to change as well. And so, our story shall be written in informed choices, through a power within that pushes us to go further, to challenge the limits, and to find out the true power that we have inside of us. So if you think about all of this, it is clear that the journey of transformation that is a combination of courage, self-awareness, and decision-making. It is a process that requires patience, practice, and a constant dose of curiosity to explore the unknown, because at the end of the accounts of what really leads us forward is the questions we ask of ourselves, and the way in which we encounter along the way. And then, in the midst of all of this, there is a discovery, a powerful, that change is not something that happens from one hour to the other, but a building on a daily, and a choice of continuing to evolve, to learn and to reinvent yourself. And in doing so, we transform not only our history, but also in the way that impact the world around us. He comments that it makes no sense to me. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that is the true essence of transformation, that is precisely on the understanding that it is not a one-off event, a kind of endpoint in the career of a person. It is, in fact, it is a continuous journey, or a series of small decisions that, together, they build a new life. And in this situation, it is often invisible to the eyes of those who still don't realize the power that lies in the routine, the discipline, day-to-day mentality we choose to grow. The transformation begins in the mind, and on the inside of each one, in the way that we understand our own limitations and possibilities. This is the interior space that everything is in control. A lot of people believe that it is a big change happens only after a dramatic event, or a crisis, but it's the truth concealed is that it is the sum of small efforts, persistence to continue on, even when the results seem distant. After all, it is the real change requires patience, endurance, and a dose of courage to stand up to your own comfort zone. Many times, it is more comfortable than it looks, because it gives us the illusion of safety and control. In this regard, the mindset of growth, it becomes a much more powerful tool when we begin to understand that our everyday decisions shape not only who we are today, but also what we can to make it tomorrow. It changes everything in a way that is subtle, but definitive. Each and every choice, I learn something new. It can overcome the fear, to get out of the routine. It's like a brick in the building of the bridge that takes you to the future you want. It is not an easy path, and there is certainly resistance, doubts, and moments of fatigue, but that is exactly where the true power is revealed, because instead of running from discomfort, we have learned to embrace it and understand that it is a signal that we are moving forward. At the same time, it is important to understand that this journey of transformation doesn't happen on its own. It is in constant contact with the environment, the people in our surrounding, and the opportunities that cross our path, often disguised as challenges and obstacles. Each and every one of these moments is an opportunity to test our resilience, strengthen our resolve, and more importantly, to reaffirm our choice to continue to evolve. And then, when you go deeper in the process, you start to see the change that has a wider impact than you think. It influences who we are, at the core, but it is also reflected in the way we interact with each other, how we inspire and are inspired by. The transformation is not only an individual matter, it expands, and the echo in the society, the community, and the impact that it is possible to generate simply by being true to our own growth. For this reason, it is important to understand that the whole of this movement, it requires a conscious practice, a daily attention to our actions, our thoughts, and our emotions. It is a kind of self-knowledge and force, in a constant search for clarity on what really matters to you. And it is at this point that many of the revelations to come, as we become more aware of what limits us, we've also found the built-in tools that can free us from these shackles. And once again, that freedom starts in the decision of whether to compromise with their own development, their own journey and evolution. So, as we reflect on all of this, it is clear that the transformation is not a magic bullet, nor is it a result of what appears in the from day to night. It is an everyday, which is a collection of choices that, over time, will consolidate into a new way of being, thinking and acting. And in doing so, grow, our story gain new prominence, more in line with what we truly want for ourselves. After all, it is the real change is not about speed, but the patience, the persistence of a person who understands that the most lasting impact comes from the inside to the outside of the conscious decision of whether to become a better you every day. He comments that it makes no sense to me. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that's the true transformation that you are looking for is not a simple matter of willpower or of the moment of inspiration fleeting. It is rooted in a change in mindset, a wake-up procedure which leads us to question everything they believe to be the truth. Too often, we carry the beliefs both about the stories that we tell ourselves, and that is unconsciously, to sabotage each and every step that we take towards growth. These stories are often hidden beneath layers of fear, doubt, or even to a false sense of security, and this is where the day-to-day becomes challenging, as it requires the courage to face what is hidden from view. This transformation requires us to look into it with your eyes focused. You will be able to recognize the patterns of behavior that don't serve us anymore, that would keep us from moving forward. It is a process of cleaning the interior, where every belief that makes the most sense is called into question, and where every decision you make takes us away from our truth, and it's put to the test. This self-criticism is not meant to be seen as a bad thing. On the contrary, it is the starting point for a new narrative, a new version of ourselves. And in this way, we have learned that small, everyday decisions, the ones that often seem insignificant, have a giant impact on the journey of self-discovery. When we begin to understand such an impact, it changes everything. We do not wait for change, magical, on the extraordinary events that will change everything at one time or another. We understand that it's the true transformation is consistent in the repetition of actions that enhance our way of thinking and reaffirm our present purposes. Every choice, every action, every thought is aligned with what we feel is a step in the right direction, a key element in the construction of a new reality. And at the same time, their journey reveals behind the scenes of our own psychological, behind the scenes in a mind that is often resistant to change because of fear of the unknown, or a false sense of security. At this time, we find that the change is not only outside, but especially from the inside. It is a remake of the values, priorities, and dreams that may have been hidden under the layers of insecurity or a routine and automatic. And the more you immerse ourselves in the process, the more we connect to that truth is hidden. It is often avoided to confront. It all starts in the decision-making to become a better person, to reinvent ourselves, to embrace vulnerability as a powerful tool for growth. This made a conscious decision to place us in a continuous movement and evolution, where each and every obstacle becomes an opportunity to learn, every failure is a lesson to be taken, and every small step forward is a confirmation that we are headed the right way. For this reason, it is important to understand that this transformation is a journey, with its ups and downs, its revelations, and new beginnings. And at the same time, it is a journey that requires patience and persistence. There are no shortcuts or magic formulas, just a commitment to daily apply the things that really make a difference in your life. And in doing so, we begin to understand that change is not something that happens from the outside to the inside, but it is born out of an internal decision of the mind renewed, which leads us to see the world and ourselves in a new light. This is a genuine internal revolution, which, once begun, will never allow us to go back to the starting point. And it is that deep emotional connection with this truth is hidden, that inner strength, that we find the motivation to truly move forward, even when the challenges seem greater than our own strength. Because deep down, you know that each step is taken with a purpose of it is a step closer to a more authentic, more strong and more in tune with what you really want in life. And so, their journey becomes a story of discovery, and the constant where every day we're asked to rewrite our narrative, and to challenge our own limits, and celebrate every small victory as proof that we are on the right track. And as long as this transformation occurs, it is clear that the impact that we seek is not something that is foreign, which apart from one time to another, but it's something that has to be built with dedication, courage, and a growth mindset who never ceases to evolve. This is a real revolution in the homeland, one that only reveals itself when we stop looking for answers outside of ourselves, and we begin to listen to that voice, a silent but powerful. It drives us to continue moving forward even in the face of adversity. And so, every decision, every reflection, every step taken in the direction of our true self becomes the seed of a new life that is being built from the inside to the outside, with a strength of purpose and a steadfast faith in one's own capacity, etc. He comments that it makes no sense to me. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that's the true transformation occurs only at the surface, and it takes place in the layers, the innermost of one's mind and heart. It is here that the roots of our behavior, if established, often invisible, but have a direct impact on our journey of growth. When we begin to understand that our everyday decisions, the ones that seem to be small, even insignificant, they carry a great potential for change. It all starts to make new friends. Every choice, every action is an an opportunity to strengthen our brand new mindset, challenge limiting beliefs, and creating a positive impact that reverberates through all of our history. In the process, and the fact it hides many of the times, it is just the story we tell ourselves in those stories that we are reliving it, even without realizing it. They are patterns of behavior that crystallized over time. It is often rooted in early childhood experiences in the past or expectations of the company. You might recognize these truths that are hidden from it, such as to open a window that had been closed for years, thereby allowing the light of consciousness to enlighten you on the details of that before we're invisible. When we do this, for the transformation gains momentum, as we have being a hostage of the past, and started to take over the control of the present, to understand what was revamped, and a desire to make something different. The journey of change is about having the courage to face the fear of the unknown. Many of the times, and the routine is comfortable, prevents us from exploring new ideas. For the more that you know them, may we take you to the most authentic selves. It is at this point that the decision to move forward, to challenge and break old habits that may be found to be a revolution on the inside. This revolution did not happen all at one time or another. Rather, it is built day by day, decision by decision, the courage to continue, even when you are tired or doubts arise as to the form shown. And to the extent that we do, we will realize that the impact of these choices that extends beyond our own lives, touching those around us, and influence environments, inspire change, and sow the seed of hope. However, it is important to understand that this transformation is not linear. It has its ups and downs, moments of doubt, and in the interests of clarity. And it is precisely during this time that the self-knowledge becomes a powerful tool to help us to identify your triggers, and that we push to the back as well as the strategies that drive us forward. True transformation requires a growth mindset, a provision, to learn, to let go of that which no longer serves, and to embrace what it really does make sense to our life's purpose. With each revelation, each and every insight, it's like a piece of a jigsaw puzzle. You'll be falling in place and form a picture, clearer and closer to the truth of who we really are and who we can become. At the same time, on this journey, and reveals the opportunities that exist behind the scenes of our daily lives, in the details that many times we are ignorant because we are stuck in the chaos of day-to-day. These are small actions, such as a time of reflection and conversation is sincere with himself, or with a practice of gratitude, can go a long way in building a mentality of a stronger and more resilient. With every step, however small it may seem, it is a seed of hope and an opportunity to make an impact in our history and those that are around us. And it is precisely in the sum of small actions that change becomes a tangible reality, is a heartwarming story that inspires, motivates us, and confirms our ability to transform. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that is the secret lies in the understanding that real change is born from the inside to the outside. No point in trying to change the behavior to surface before we dive into the essence of who we really are. It is necessary to question our own beliefs, to challenge your limits, and above all, is to believe that we are capable of rewriting our own account, regardless of where we are right now. This is a journey that requires determination, courage, and a healthy dose of vulnerability, because only in this way we were able to make room for the new one, so that it really makes sense for us to grow. And when you do that, you start to realize that the transformation is not a destination, but a path of continual self-discovery. Every day brings a new opportunity to connect more deeply with our own truth, and to establish new patterns of thinking and acting with a purpose. In this way, the revelations come as the lights that illuminate our steps, showing you just how much we are able to develop, even in the face of challenges, to more challenging ones. And that's exactly where our strength is. And if she said, the decision to move forward even when the path seems difficult to fit into the story, because deep down, in the biggest win is the courage to be who you really are, to embrace our imperfections, and to make every experience is a step in our evolution. He comments that it makes no sense to me. I now want to go more in depth on this topic, because this is a journey of self-discovery and transformation. It often shows a layer that is not thought to exist. It is at this point that the true essence began to emerge, one that is hidden away under the weight of the doubts, the fears, and the expectations of others. Each and every step that we take, the more uncertain it is. It works as a kind of mirror that reflects our own truths within, for those who often prefer to ignore it, or hide it out of fear of what we might find. But rather than run away from them, we have learned to accommodate each and every aspect, creating a more genuine to who we really are. The transformation did not happen all at one time or another. It is a solid construction, made up of small, daily decisions that you are going to shaping our way of thinking, and therefore our reality. It is as if each was a stone in the construction of a castle on the inside, where the power comes from the realization that we could rewrite our story at any given time. And in this rewrite, requires courage, because a lot of times she will challenge our limiting beliefs, the ones that tell us that we are not able to, or is it what we want it to be, impossible. But in fact, these These beliefs are nothing more than obstacles to building a narrative that we've learned to accept it as the truth. To dive deeper into this universe of possibilities, we find that the greatest change happens when we stop seeking external validation and start to trust in your own voice. This is the inner voice, is often silenced by the noise of the world. You will find the answers that you need in order to move forward with more confidence. The impact of listening to this voice, it is hardly surprising. It gives us the strength to face the challenges that are more difficult, to make decisions that are aligned with our values, and above all, to be clear that we are on the right path, even though the circumstances may seem harsh. In this scenario, self-awareness, it becomes a very powerful tool, a sort of compass that guides us through the storms, the emotional, and the questions that arise in the course of our journey. It is through him that we find our true motives and our deepest desires, and it is those passions, which very often, they were hidden under a layer of confusion or fear of judgment. When we allow ourselves to explore any of these areas, we provide a space for transformation to take care of, one that is not dependent on the validation of a third party, but it was born from an appreciation that is genuine to who you are and what you really want. And in doing so, we begin to realize that each and every experience, whether positive or negative, plays a critical role in our evolution. These are the lessons that it can teach us, some valuable lessons about the strength, resilience, and hope. Each and every challenge you overcome, it transforms into a story of resilience, which is a proof that you are able to go above and beyond what we imagined. And so, the journey is no longer a race against the clock or a quest for perfection, and it happens to be a continuous growth process, where each step is a step forward into your best version. All of this leads us to the understanding that real change is not only due to the strength of the will, but a conscious decision to embrace the truth, to accept our own imperfections, and in turn, our vulnerability into strength. This is the essence of a lasting transformation that's really impacted our lives in such a profound way, and that is sustainable. When we align our thoughts, emotions, and actions in this direction, creating a powerful synergy that can break down barriers and open up the paths which before seemed to be closed. And it is precisely at this point that we realize the importance of being aware of the behind the scenes of our mind, the revelations of which she is the guardian, and the shadows, they still insist on joining us. After all, a lot of times, what we believe to be the truth, it's just a story built on past experiences, or by the impact of the external reviews. To unravel those behind the scenes up to the release, by a sort of clean life, prepares us for a new beginning. And in doing so, we take the decisive step towards a transformation that is more than skin deep, but that strikes to the core of one's being, strengthen the core, and to renew our life force energy. All of this creates a sort of domino effect, where a change in its internal structure is reflected in our actions, our relationships, and even in the way we perceive the world around us. Every decision you make is going to be more aware, more in tune with our deepest values, and this leads to an impact that extends beyond the us. It is a kind of lever that can inspire others to also embark on this journey of self-discovery and growth, because at the end of the day, the true transformation is at a current, which becomes stronger as more and more people are deciding to be true to your own truth and leave behind the shackles of the past and build a future in a more authentic and whole. In order to understand this, it is also necessary to acknowledge that there is a magical formula, or one way. Each of them has their own journey, their own challenges, and its own price. And when you accept that diversity of experience, we have learned to appreciate the process in each and every one, without judgment or comparison. After all, it is the authenticity that is the greatest wealth that you can grow, and it grows to a daily commitment to be true to ourselves, even when it's the journey that requires courage, strength, and a generous serving of patience. And in that moment of deep connection with our roots, we see that the journey is not only about reaching out to some place for you, but who you become along the way, about the transformation that takes place silently within ourselves, even when the outside world seems to be so chaotic. He comments that it makes no sense to me. If you've read this far, I want to thank you for the follow-up story to the very end. I think that, in the background, what remains is the idea of the journey we make is just as important as the destination, and that every step you take, every choice helps to shape who we are. If this message resonated in any way, we invite you to follow me. By exploring these issues, they can help us better understand life and the world around us. If you like this content and felt that it added something to the day, let the one like you that help us to keep bringing you the issues that will make sense to you. And of course, if you want to change to an idea or to share your opinion, leave a comment here saying, "I'm with you till the end," or something to show that this talk was a part of as well. I like to know that it makes no sense for anyone who is on the other side of the screen. Oh, and if you are curious to learn more, there's a video right here on the side, which complements this subject in a good light. Click there, and still am there. It is because a journey of self-discovery never stops, right? So yeah, I hope that this trade-off has been good to you. Until the next video, we will continue exploring these paths together, and always with a calm and pay attention attention to what really matters to you.